shards, dang shot and drawing near. Fairy flips the switch, privacy flow stay smooth. Mary tunes the proofs, sound is in the groove. Gate by gate, my R1 CS type QAP shuffle FFT tonight. MIMC not presiding on the beat. Fiat shimmy hush, make it in our sweet. G1 to the left, G2 to the right. BLS 12-3, 881 under mirror ball like KCG. Clap lobs hit the floor. EIP 484, give me bandwidth more. Shorty builds the circuits, circum snog chasing. Dolly grades the roadmap, ZK crowns the ring. Snog it, call me baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. FRI falsetto, stops in the night. Pairings caring, make the curve points by one more. Snog it, call me baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. Pair and shrink proofs, the chain is tight. No bandwidth requirements are light. Aerials, plum pulls, permutations align. Zachary brings privacy, Aztec on the line. Dan shapes the parents map that we can use. Alessandro sparks, snack, succinct in the groove. Eli drive stocks, no pairing, still prime. Roll the F, R rhythm, low degree in time. ZK EVM, ZK roll-ups, roll it again. AIR to the sky, low degree test. FRI says hi, sound is a yes. Snog it, find me baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. FRI falsetto, starts in the night. Parents caring, make the curve points by one more. Snog it, find me baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. Parents shrink proofs, the chain is tight. No bandwidth requirements are light. Emerson shuffle multi-scalar heat. BN254 keep stepping on beat. Zero knowledge, hide it from sight. Pairing is caring, shine it bright. Try! Justin on the groove, network vision clear. Dang crab with his shots, dang shot and drawing near. Fairy flips the switch, privacy flow stay smooth. Mary tunes the proofs, sound is in the groove. Gate by gate, my R1 CS type QAP shuffle FFT tonight. MIMC not presiding on the beat. Fiat shimmy hush, make it in our sweet. G1 to the left, G2 to the right. BLS 12-3, 881 under mirror ball like KCG. Clap lobs hit the floor. EIP 484, give me bandwidth more. Shorty builds the circuits, circum snog chasing. Dolly grades the roadmap, ZK crowns the ring. Snog it, call me baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. FRI falsetto, stops in the night. Pairings caring, make the curve points by one more. Snog it, call me baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. Pairing shrink proofs, the chain is tight. No bandwidth requirements are light. Aerials, plum pulls, permutations align. Zachary brings privacy, Aztec on the line. Dan shapes the parents map that we can use. Alessandro sparks, snack, succinct in the groove. Eli drive stocks, no pairing, still prime. Roll the F, R rhythm, low degree in time. ZK EVM, ZK roll-ups, roll it again. AIR to the sky, low degree test. FRI says hi, sound is a yes. Snog it, call me baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. FRI falsetto, starts in the night. Parents caring, make the curve points by one more. Snog it, call me baby. tunes, the proofs. Sound is in the groove. Gate by gate, my R1 CS type QAP shuffle FFT tonight. MIMC not presiding on the beat. Fiat shimmy hush, make it in a sweet. G1 to the left, G2 to the right. BLS 12-3, 881 under mirror ball like KCG. Clap lobs, hit the floor. EIP 484, give me bandwidth more. Shorty builds the circuits, circum snog chasing. Dalek writes the roadmap, ZK crowns the ring. Snog it by me, baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. FRI falsetto, stops in the night. Pairings caring, make the curve points by one more. Snog it by me, baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. Pairing shrink proofs, the chain is tight. No bandwidth requirements are light. Aerials, plum pulls, permutations align. Zachary brings privacy, Aztec on the line. Dan shapes the parents map that we can use. Alessandro sparks, snack succinct in the groove. Eli drive stocks, no pairing, still prime. Roll the FR rhythm, low degree in time. ZK EVM, ZK roll-ups, roll it again. AIR to the sky, low degree test. FRI says hi, sound is a yes. Snog it by me, baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. FRI falsetto, starts in the night. Pairings caring, make the curve points by one more. Snog it by me, baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. Pairing shrink proofs, the chain is tight. No bandwidth requirements are light. Emerson shuffle multiscalar heat. BN254 keep stepping on beat. Zero knowledge, hide it from sight. Pairing is caring, shining bright.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Ethereum community Fusaka Mainnet hard fork community watch party. This is Jonathan here with eStaker, and I also have Pooja from the Ethereum Cat Herders hosting the call with me. And we're excited to have you. Thanks for joining the party. We have a number of people on from across the community, so we are ready to go and excited for Fusaka to go live on the network. We are also streaming right now on YouTube on the Ethereum Foundation YouTube channel and on the Ethereum Cat Herders X account. So hopefully you're watching on one of those places and as excited as we are to get started. I just introduced myself, so Pooja, I'll let you introduce yourself and then we can get into things here.
Thanks for the kickoff here, Jonathan. It's really an honor to be a part of another Ethereum network upgrade community call. 2 layers of one blockchain together going for network upgrade twice in 1 year. It's truly amazing. Hello, everyone. I am Pooja Ranjan from ECH Institute, and I welcome you all to the Fusaka Upgrade Watch Party. In the next hour or so, we have a great lineup of content and information sharing that would cover, obviously, the current upgrade, the Fusaka upgrade, and a glimpse of the next upgrade with what to expect in upcoming days on Ethereum. So for the next 30 minutes, which is kind of pre-Fusaka era, we will hear directly from Ethereum researcher, client developers on how Fusaka will improve scaling, security, and better user experience. We will also hear stories from the other side of protocol development, that is the enterprise and mainstream adoption. We'll be joined by the chairman of Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, who will talk about what's happening on Ethereum and enterprise overall. In addition to that, we will also have a message from the leadership at the Ethereum Foundation. We have so much more on the other side of Fusaka, and to provide the outline of what's after the Fusaka upgrade, I'll pass the microphone to my co-host, Jonathan.
Cool. Thanks, Pooja. Yeah, so like for the second half, the way it's going to go is in the middle, really, we'll be watching the fork, right? That's one of the things we're all excited to see and watch it go through. So we have PK910 and Barnabas there to help narrate us through that part of this experience. And then we'll see that, we'll give some commentary, and then we'll move into the second half of this watch party, which is talking about some of the same core areas and focus areas around scaling mainnets, scaling blobs, and improving the user experience, and talking about that in the context of looking forward and looking towards Glamsterdam, which is next. So we'll have Nixo helping narrate and moderate that part, and then we'll hear from core developer teams as well on those subjects through the second half. We'll also do some fun things towards the end that you all probably expect at this point, but it's some fun things around POAPs and giving those out. I see them at time. And we also want to make sure we celebrate the 5-year anniversary of the Beacon Chain, which is this week. So it's nice that it's coinciding with that. All right, with that, I'll pass it back to you, Pooja, to moderate the first part here around what we can be excited about for Fusaka.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. So DevConnect 2025 has recently been concluded. If you were there at the opening ceremony, you may have followed conversation and talks provided by the leadership from the Ethereum Foundation. Does anyone remember Shaiwei's talk about the ladder theory? Well, I see Fusaka as yet another step on Ethereum's long journey to add more room for application, provide more security to the network, and have better user experience for a developer and the end user. So Fusaka is a wholesome upgrade that brings something for every user group of Ethereum ecosystem. It is really scaling Ethereum securely. I know you would rather want to hear this from people who have worked on it and brought us here on this upgrade here. So without further ado, let me just invite my first guest here, Marius from Get Team, to talk about scaling mainnet responsibly. Over to you, Marius.
Thank you very much. Yeah, hey everyone. I'm Marius. I work in the Get team, and I also co-lead the scalability track at the Ethereum Foundation together with Tim and Ansgar. And yeah, Fusaka is very exciting for us because it introduces kind of our first steps towards real mainnet scaling. We have introduced basically 3 EIPs that we think are very important. We are changing the way the pricing from the ModX operation works, which is one of the limiting factors for scaling Ethereum right now. And we are changing we are basically adding a cap for limiting the transactions. So previously transactions could, like a single transaction could take up the whole block, which is kind of unfair, to be honest. And it is also limiting us in the scaling aspects, because if you only have one transaction, you cannot like parallelize the transaction. And in the future, we would like to have parallel transactions. But I will talk about that later when we look into what we envision for Glamsterdam. But for now, just know that the transaction gas limit cap will bring us a lot of scaling in the future. And another EIP that we introduced for Fusaka that I would like to highlight is EIP 7935, which sets the default gas limit to 16. If you look at the charts, for the last 3 years, the gas limit was 3 or 4 years. The gas limit, ever since the merge, the gas limit was stuck at 13 million. The gas limit basically says how many transactions can be executed per block. And during this year, we finally started to increase the gas limit, first from 30 to 36 million, and then to 45 million, and now with this hard fork to 60 million. That means we basically 2x'd the performance, the speed of Ethereum. And this is just the beginning. Fusaka kind of gives us a great stepping stone because of the transaction gas limit cap and because of some of the repricings that we've been doing. We also started investing a lot into benchmarking, and this benchmarking will benefit us down the line. Again, I will talk about that shortly after the fork. We will have another session about what we would like to see in Glamsterdam, and most of the scaling stuff is actually going to fully materialize once we move to Glamsterdam, or once we move closer to Glamsterdam. But what we have right now unlocks at least 60 and potentially even significantly more than that. But if we want to go beyond 80, 100, 150 or something, we will need to have other changes, and these changes will happen in Glamsterdam. But Fusaka was a great fork for us because we could also kind of step back a bit, look into the benchmarking, and not focus on the features of Glamsterdam of Fusaka as much, because the main feature PeerDAS is actually not for L1 scaling, but it's for L2 scaling. And I guess Alex will talk a bit about that now.
Thank you so much, Marius, for sharing that. We really appreciate that. And our next guest is ACDC Chair Alex Stokes, who is going to talk about our headliner proposal, PeerDAS, and scaling data and performance.
Yeah, everyone. Thanks for the intro. So yeah, I would say the headlining feature of Fusaka here is PeerDAS. This is a super exciting feature. The reason why is because it lets us scale rollups. So, everyone thinks about how do we scale Ethereum? Definitely in the past, you go to use Mainnet and maybe the gas fees are too high for what you're trying to do. And, this directly means that the things we're trying to do with Ethereum, export, the values and the things that go into it to the world is tricky to do. So over many years, people have thought about how do we scale this thing? And, one solution we've settled on is rollups. And these are layer 2 constructions. So you can think about them as like separate blockchains that kind of live above L1 or mainnet. The way they work is they periodically check back into L1 with some state update. And importantly, for this to be secure, for you to have the same guarantees around, decentralization, liveness, issue persistence, the rollup needs to send something back to the L1 along with the state update, which is the data along, that generated the state update. This is where we get this concept of data availability, which is maybe a little non-intuitive, but I guess for present purposes, the way to think about it is there's this like flat, concept of data called a blob that gives you this DA, this data availability. And then the question is, okay, if we want to scale rollups, to the entire world, we need to scale this DA, we need to scale the blobs. PeerDAS is so exciting because it does this. So how does it work? It introduces this new technique called data availability sampling so that, well, I'll get into how it works in a second, but basically it's this new technique that people have been working on for a very long time. But it's cool because it lets us scale while, not compromising on the values, again, that are so important to Ethereum. So how does this work? Before Fusaka, so we've had blobs for, since the Dencode hard fork, and it adds these things to every block. There's a couple blobs. And in order to do the DA check, this data availability verification, you had to download the entire blob. It's like a sort of naive thing where you need to know the data is there, so you just download it all yourself. Now, the problem is that if we want to scale this technique, if we just kept downloading everything, you quickly get to a place where to do so at higher blob counts, you'd have to have like a beefier node. And, works in terms of like compute, storage, but most importantly, bandwidth. And again, the way that we keep Ethereum decentralized is by having a very broad validator set and full node set. And this is actually a pretty important resource, this bandwidth, because it's much harder for people just to like get more bandwidth suddenly. Like you can pretty easily get like a, more RAM or a faster CPU, something like this. But bandwidth is quite tricky. It's more sort of like inelastic in this way. So we needed a way to still be able to increase the blobs while having kind of fixed bandwidth. And PeerDAS does exactly this. So rather than download the entire blobs for one given block, you just sample a subset of them. And every node of the network has some like random assignment so that you get different parts of the blob data. But what this does is if everyone does this at the same time, you know that I only have a small bit of the data locally, but it's still available across the entire network. And again, the reason why this is super cool is because it lets us scale the blob count while keeping node requirements pretty much where they are today. So it's kind of this like new radical thing, a new generation of scaling. So super cool. And yeah, so that's what PeerDOS gives us. And let's see, I just have a little time. So one more thing to add here is this PeerDOS thing sounds super cool. People will probably be expecting the blobs to like suddenly jump up after the fork. So this is not going to happen. Instead, we have another EIP. This is the blob parameter only EIP. And the way kind of to think about it is similar to how validators can change the gas limit on the network today. You can also now kind of have programmatic increases to the blob schedule. And we're kind of doing this for security. I guess one important detail here, PeerDOS, if you just look at the theory and on paper, PeerDOS gives you an 8x increase, just given the design of the technique from where we are today. And this is something we could do. We could say, here in just a few minutes, just dial this knob up 8x. Given that this is a very new technique and we're not sure how the network will respond, this is not the wisest decision. And so instead, we're going to have this BPO mechanism that lets us scale things up more in a stepwise fashion. So what that means for today is there actually will be no change to the blob count, except we will have this new DAS technique. So bandwidth consumption should drop quite a bit. Then we have these BPO scheduled. So the first one is scheduled about a week from today, which takes us up, I think it was 66%. I looked at the numbers this morning. And then we have another BPO scheduled in January that will go another 40% on top of that. So all in, that should be a 133% increase that's scheduled from today until January. And again, kind of like Marius was saying, this is, we're just getting started. From there, the plan is to have more PPOs that keep scaling the blob count. And yeah, there should be many, many blobs coming, which is something many people have been requesting. Talk to your favorite rollup. They'll tell you this is like one of their biggest bottlenecks. So this is super exciting. And here's to a good fork.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Alex. I know people are excited about our headliner proposal, and just a general piece of information. You can also check out the description section of YouTube to get more resources to learn more about Fusaka upgrade. Well, switching gears to the enterprise and mainstream adoption of Ethereum, I would like to invite Enterprise Ethereum Alliance Chairman Paul Brody to share the enterprise side of a story of Ethereum blockchain.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you so much. So really delighted to be here. A few years ago at the Merge, I was at this sort of Ethereum community ecosystem event called Zuzalo, and we had this kind of tremendous merge. And I remember there was so much tension and urgency built up around this idea. Can Ethereum make this transition from proof of work to proof of stake? And I know the people around this table. I know the institutional maturity of the Ethereum ecosystem. And so on the night of the merge, during the big merge party, I went to bed. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to bed after this because I have tremendous confidence in this ecosystem. And one of the things that I have made a note of a few key sort of sub takeaways to take away from this event, but there's a big like bonus macro takeaway, which is to look at the maturity of the ecosystem. People here are like, wow, this is great. We're doing like 2 upgrades a year. 2 upgrades a year. This is not reckless behavior. It's not move fast and break things. We are stewards of a multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure now that needs to support big companies, small companies, individuals, solo entrepreneurs, individual stakers. Like we are stewards of a global ecosystem, and it is our responsibility to manage that responsibly. And what I see here is the Ethereum Foundation, the Cat Herders, the Protocol Guild, tons of people working together in a very mature process all around the world to make this happen. So my first thing is like, I'm just honored to be here. Like, I'm great to be invited. I'm really, really proud for the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance to be part of this and for us to be just one part of a very constructive ecosystem. If I sort of sum up the sort of big 3 business takeaways, they really are the following. Number 1, inside of this upgrade are a number of like reasonable tactical upgrades that make a difference in terms of usability, performance, operation of the Ethereum blockchain. My personal favorite is some of the additional encryption protocols that help make it easier to use things like Face ID and Touch ID and create a better user experience. Secondly, there are, like PeerDAS in here, a pile of strategic upgrades that frankly are not going to be visible tomorrow because we actually already have more network transaction capacity than we really need. But we are laying the foundation on a road to 1 trillion transactions a day, and we will need every single one of them by the time we are done. And then lastly, we continue to kind of tune the mechanics and the economics of the ecosystem, right? I think one of the things that's really dangerous is we need Ethereum to work for all the participants. And so not letting us get captured by any one sort of economic model is very important. So those are some of the things that are very important. And specific things that I think a lot about are just generally the user experience, making it easy for individuals to come on board. I don't mean like, I mean scaling accessibility to the user experience. So with that, I see I'm over my allocated 3 minutes, but I appreciate this community, this ecosystem. I have absolute confidence in you.
Thank you so much, Paul. It's been great pleasure talking to you about the enterprise side of Ethereum usage. Well, we are getting closer towards the Fusaka upgrade, but we have still got about 10 minutes, and we would like to make good use of that time. So first, I would like to invite here our co-executive director of Ethereum Foundation, Tomas Tanjak, to share a few words about Ethereum roadmap or Ethereum in general.
Hi everyone, it's great to hear that Paul is going to rest, to sleep, because I know that it's tens of thousands of people that are staying awake and will be looking at the dashboards, and Ethereum is 24/7 around the globe. So some people are visiting this fork in the night, sometimes during the day, and everyone else can sleep very, very calmly, because that's why thousands of core devs are there. And it's a great movement. We've been together, many of us, for the previous upgrades and many calls like this, and it's a lot of memories, because you always get a bit relieved, but also a bit more aware that it will be good for the next few hours to look at all the numbers. And I think that thinking already about the next forks is what many of us do. We're thinking about Glamsterdam. We're thinking about H-Star or Hecla or whatever we decide to do there. And it's exciting that they'll be coming, and that we have more and more improvements, upgrades to the network that are responding to what everyone is awaiting, that are thinking about security for years forward, that are thinking about scaling for years forward. They're taking advantage of the years of research that is happening on the Ethereum ecosystem. When we think about zkVMs, when we think about post-quantum security, much of it is definitely happening, innovating in the Ethereum ecosystem with some of the top researchers and engineers in the world. And it's always such an honor to be surrounded by you here. And for 2026, obviously, we're thinking about scaling further. We're thinking about ensuring always that we have the security and censorship resistance of the protocol, privacy solutions. They're always at the back of our minds, and also as a focus area for deliveries. What else? We'll be probably thinking about post-quantum security, about finality. We'll be thinking about solutions for addressing ecosystem needs in the enterprise spaces. And we'll just think about always making Ethereum an excitement for those who want to come and build together with everyone. And it's now a very, very successful and broad ecosystem with lots of layer 2s and Ethereum mainnet. They're, I think, leading this excitement too. Thank you so much for inviting me to this call, and that's great. Let's do that.
Thank you so much, Tomas, for sharing that. I know people love to hear from leadership. And in continuation of that, let me invite Vitalik Buterin next to talk a little bit more about what we see in upcoming days on Ethereum.
Yeah, so I think Fusaka is exciting because it's not just something that delivers a one-time improvement. It's something that really puts blobs on the path where we'll be able to very easily scale it further and further from there, right? And so POAPs is not a fixed protocol. It can continue to improve over time, and potentially it could even continue to improve without even requiring hard forks, which is fascinating. And so there's still a lot of work to do, but a lot of opportunity in front of us to like really push the L2 scale to much higher levels while at the same time keeping the amount of data that each individual node to process basically constant, which is like actually a super exciting thing, right? Like it's literal, like Ethereum is literally sharding, right? Like if you remember from back in 2016, we talked about, the word sharding and this idea that like, can we somehow make a network that's like BitTorrent in that each node only processes a few percent of the everything, or even less, but at the same time, like a blockchain, and that you have verification, you have consensus, and like we're actually doing it. And like Ethereum, as it stands, like we'll basically be able to run without needing any single node to process all of the data, right? Now, I mean, there are still kind of bottlenecks on the slot by slot level, right? But I think even those potentially could be addressed with some of the later data availability ideas. And going beyond that a bit further, right? So, I mean, first of all, we think of blobs as being 4 L2s. In the long term, we want to dump L1 data into blobs as well. And once we have ZK VMs, that will basically mean that you can scale L1 really high without requiring any single node to download more data than it's downloading today, or even less than that, in order to verify it. And like even starting as soon as Glamsterdam, well, we have a lot of things in store to start pushing up L1 gas limits quite a bit with block level access lists and with EPBS. So I think a huge amount of scale is happening this year and the next year, and I'm excited for this. Also, I think all of the things that are happening here are setting the stage for a lot of improvements also in security and in censorship resistance, right? So the R1 precompile enables smart contract wallets and that use the R1 curve, and of course there is still account abstraction in the pipeline to like make those like much more of a first-class citizen, and then Fossil coming up to make things more censorship resistant for every type of transaction, and also a lot of off-chain work, also the ZK VM stuff, right? And with all of those things, we'll be able to have light wallets with a much higher standard of security, also a much higher standard of privacy as well. So there's like 10 different gears that are all in motion, and I think Fusaka fork itself unlocks a few of them, but at the same time, this is the beautiful thing about the ecosystem, that there's like so many of these trains that are running in parallel, improving all of the different parts of it at the same time. So that's expect more scale and more decentralization and privacy and trustlessness, especially at the user layer in 2026, and even more of all of those things in 2027, and a lot of really important progress on just on decentralization, improvements to consensus, security, and sustainability happening over the next few years.
Thank you so much, Vitalik, for sharing your message. I understand hearing from researcher developers are always inspiring for the community, and we hope to see many more useful features in upcoming upgrades. We are very close to the Fusaka upgrade, so I'll pass the microphone to my friend Jonathan to take us for the upgrade dashboard here.
Awesome. Thanks, Pooja, and thanks, Vitalik. So yeah, we are sharing the screen here from PK910 around a number of dashboards. Some pretty cool views that are closely monitoring what's going on here. So it looks like we are all seeing that. You should be seeing on the live stream. So you can see a terminal window and a beacon chain Dora client page, another beacon chain slot viz, and what's the one in the upper left? Is that from ETH Panda Ops? Maybe you can start talking about what we're seeing here, because I think we are about 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes actually away, maybe more
Yeah,
like
we
1 minute.
actually have 1 minute left, so
Yeah.
Let
Go
me
for it.
slightly introduce it. It's a lab page that we've recently built, and it aggregates data from beacon nodes all over the world. So it's a pretty nice view because it shows us the propagation times, attestations arrivals, and yeah, it basically aggregates data from all these nodes on a single page, which is really helpful. So yeah. And it's also open, publicly accessible, like labs.ethpandaops.io. Everyone can view that page and see how blocks are coming in. So yeah,
All right.
we have 30 seconds left, and yeah, as already explained, we have the two explorers on the right side. The upper one is Dora the Explorer, the bottom one the Beacon Chain Explorer, and on the left bottom side we see a Lodestar beacon node, and we expect to see a nice ASCII art there because yeah, they have a Zebra ASCII art, I've heard. Let's see. So we should
All right.
have activated it.
We're seeing zebras?
Not yet.
Not yet. We will see it on that.
There is
There we
Zebra.
go.
There is it. There it is.
All right.
And maybe to share another ASCII one, I've just seen Lighthouse has also implemented a nice ASCII.
All right. Awesome. Speaking of the zebras, it's all about PeerDAS, right? That's the whole reason for the theme of the zebra, and the mechanism there for selective downloading. So I think that's pretty cool. It's fun to see people do the art and have a fun mascot. We use it a lot, obviously, with the tweets we do. Let's see. Awesome. Barnabas, I know you were also here. Is there any comments you guys want to make about any of these dashboards or things we're seeing go through so far? Is the one on the bottom right going to start showing green? Is that the idea there? Or does it need to be refreshed? Just kind of anything else we should be looking for here.
Yeah, so the live view seems to be a bit lagging on the beacon chain side, but the Dora view, the Mainnet beacon chain has the real-time data. And we seem to be getting blocks coming in. So it looks like lots of people have actually updated their nodes. So all is looking good.
Yeah, the Beacon Chain Explorer actually seems to be stuck. The last block was 2 minutes ago. But yeah, as Barnabas said, Dora shows it live, and the lab also seems to be showing live blocks.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, most of these, I mean, so the top left, top right, and bottom left are all live kind of views of what's being shown here. So those are helpful ones for people to see. Let's see. So that's
Dora
great. Looks like we're
parties.
past it. I'm not sure if there's any like initial observations. But I know that's something that usually comes out after the fact, like after people have analyzed. It's kind of not like an instantaneous assessment. So it's something where it's in the few hours and even days after that we get more information about how it's going. But we should have at least the sense of finalization at some point, right?
It actually looks like Dora did the first estimation of 94% for the current epoch. So we have a slight drop, which is expected, but we are definitely over finalization thresholds.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, we're just kind of playing it by ear here with this part, I think, with observing, and this is kind of like the real-time moment of seeing the fork go through. Obviously, it just did, so we're in a Fusaka world right now. And I think if anyone, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of things in our chat here, so if there's anything that to add, feel free to chime in, anyone. The dashboards here are what we'll keep monitoring, though, and obviously you'll see people post things on social media with findings and in conversations throughout the rest of this week too. All right. Let's see. I think we have another minute or so until we go into the next part, which is looking ahead. So I think looking ahead towards Glamsterdam and everything. Let's see. Thank you. Okay. If we're ready for that, if there's anything else you want to mention, PK or Barnabas, we can about this part, but I think that we would be ready to go towards that next section to do a review of those, which would be with Nixo, if we're ready to do that. Does that work for everyone?
Yep.
Cool. Thanks for showing us through this. And we will see if there's anything, maybe towards the end, we can see if there's any other observations. We can always interrupt where we are on the agenda, but we'll be going for 60 minutes on this call. So we will. Okay. I'm getting some note here that we just justified unrealized. What is the unrealized just justified? Can you speak to that a bit?
We're sure to justify by the end of the week of the epoch. We already know that we are going to justify this epoch.
Cool. All right. Good to know. Well, yeah, I can hand it to Nixo then, if you want to get started with the next part here around what's next.
Sure. Hey, I'm Nixo. I lead the protocol support team at the Ethereum Foundation. We sort of help protocol coordination. There's a protocol coordination team at the EF who facilitates the governance calls and makes sure that the upgrades are progressing and that client teams are working together very well. So the protocol support team makes this process legible. We make sure that everybody can see what's going on. We have a website called forecast.org. So first I'm going to talk about the governance process a little bit. Fusaka's main feature choices were unique because the fork right before Fusaka, Pectra, was so large in scope that basically it just became too complex and they had to split it in two. And so the second half of Pectra really just got renamed Fusaka. So that's how the main features of Fusaka were chosen. That sort of spurred a process change for Ethereum governance. And part of that process change was choosing headliners for the next fork, and then choosing non-headliners to sort of limit the scope that is going into a fork. That makes the testing less complex. It makes it so we are better able to ship forks on time. So the next fork that is coming is Glamsterdam. Glamsterdam, the headliner process has already happened. The headliners were chosen. EPBS, which is enshrined proposer builder separation, and block level access lists. It's estimated somewhere around mid-2026. It will depend on implementation. This process, the headliner process, will also progress for the next fork after that, which is Heka Bogota. If you would like to participate, please subscribe. Go to blog.ethereum.org, scroll down to the bottom, subscribe to both the R&D categories and the protocol announcements categories. And to keep up to date on progress on these upgrades, you can go to forecast.org. We have a page per upgrade. We have one for Fusaka, one for Glamsterdam. There's one coming for Heka. There's a placeholder for Pectra, but we're really focused on forward progress. So You can also go to forecast.org/calls, and that will give you summaries of the calls. It will give you the transcripts. There are 2 all-core dev calls that happen per week, Mondays and Thursdays, and it will give you a summary of everything that's happening there. So what else? Oh, the forecast is nice because it gives you an overview of the EIPs and how it affects certain stakeholders. So if you are a node operator, you can go there. It'll tell you how it affects validators. If you are just a user, it will. There's a little section for just users, and I think there are 8 sections in total. So go there. You can see how each EIP affects you. Glamsterdam's process right now. My time is up, but 10 seconds. Glamsterdam's process is in choosing its non-headliner EIP. So if you want to make your voice heard, go check out the Glamsterdam page, look at the non-headlining EIPs that are proposed for inclusion. And then you can make your voice heard by going to forecast.org/rank and posting which EIPs you think are important to go into the fork. I'm going to pass this off. I think the next is to talk about specifics of the fork to
Yes,
Marius.
exactly. That is me. As I said in the beginning, we will have some time at the end to discuss the future of Ethereum, the next hard fork. And I'm very excited about the next hard fork because we will be able to bring some very significant scaling to Ethereum. I would like to kind of throw some of the EIPs, some of the ideas out there. The first one, EPBS. POTUS is on the call, so maybe he can chime in if I say something stupid. But EPBS gives us a lot of headroom on the scaling side because basically we will just within the 12 seconds that each block takes, we will have much more time to verify the block. So right now, if we are looking at the worst cases, we are looking at like, if a block takes longer than 3 seconds, then it's pretty bad for the network. With EPBS, it is much better because we can have the block take something like, I don't know, 9 seconds. And so that will already give us a significant amount of scaling headroom. And then the other feature that I would like to highlight is EIP 7928, block access lists, which gives us the ability to execute, to verify, like when you verify a block, you can execute the transactions in parallel. And this is a huge unlock because it will mean that all of the nodes on the network can verify transactions much faster in parallel. And combined with the transaction gas limit cap, which means that there is that transactions cannot take up the whole block. It means at least like 3, 4, 5, 6 transactions can actually be executed in parallel. In the worst case, even in the average case, it will be even faster. And then we have another few EIPs or few things in the works, like upgrades to the networking layer that we would like to see, and history expiry, which means stakers can expect their node requirements, the amount of data that they need to store to reduce significantly by another 300 to 400 gigabytes. This year we already shipped partial history expiry, which reduced the node requirements by roughly 300 to 400 gigabyte. And this means in the future we can shave another 300 to 400 gigabytes off. And then we are also proposing a lot of repricing EIPs, which are trying to address these worst cases. As I said before, the worst case that we are looking at right now is roughly 3 seconds. But the average case of a block on Ethereum right now is 80 milliseconds or 60 milliseconds. So that means there's a huge amount of scaling that we can do with the same hardware. So all of the work that we would like to introduce in Fusaka, in Glamsterdam, is not to increase the hardware requirements, but instead to better.
We finalized.
Oh, we finalized! Yay! But to better utilize the hardware that everyone already has. So yeah, that is what we are working on with a scaling track in Glamsterdam. And we finalized.
All right. I think next up is Alex Stokes again for scaling data and performance. Is it a repetition? Or we have more? Jonathan?
Yeah, it's back to Alex for that on this part. So just with looking forward. Alex, are you there still?
Yep. Yeah, I can
Cool.
say some things. So yeah, I mean, I think Marius kind of laid the groundwork because again, these things start to, play against each other. The name of the game is scaling. And yeah, the place to start would be BPOs like I was describing earlier, where the plan is to have more BPOs. The cool thing about this BPO thing is that we don't need to wait for like a named hard fork. So like I was saying already, we have plans to have BPOs before Glamsterdam and keep scaling there. To get there, again, the key thing we think about on the network is bandwidth. And so from there are many techniques that we're looking into around how to most efficiently use bandwidth on the network. An example just with like your nodes would be thinking about more sophisticated ways to reason about this. So I said there are like subsets of the data with the blobs that you're not downloading, these columns, and there's essentially more sophisticated ways we can have nodes on the network request columns from each other. This technique is cell level messaging. And basically the way to think about it is if I need to get an entire column out of all the blob data, there might be the case that I'm missing data for only like one blob rather than the full set. And now with this technique, what you can do is ask for just the piece you're missing and not the full column. So then there's less data you need to move around the network. And what that means is there's more headroom for scaling. Another thing to think about is definitely the mempool. So we want to have the mempool, this is kind of the key signature persistence mechanism that we have for Ethereum. And that also needs to scale with the blobs. So we have a lot of work here around, very much like how we're sharding the blobs with Fusaka now. We want to think about techniques to shard the mempool. And so all these things will come together. And basically what it means is like with each iterative change, which again can happen outside consensus, because these are mostly at the networking layer, we unlock more headroom for scaling, which lets us deploy more BPOs and just more blobs. Let's see. The other thing here is, so Marius mentioned ePBS, and the really cool part of the CIP is actually this notion of pipelining, where it gives us more time in the slot to move data around. And it's a very similar concept. The way to think about it is like over time, you just have more bandwidth available. We can allocate some of this resource to more blobs. And I think that's all I have to say on the blob scaling front between now and Glamsterdam.
Cool. Can we kick it to Marius then maybe to try outlining a bit about scaling UX going forward then, just into Glamsterdam and beyond?
Yeah, I can try. Unfortunately, the scale the UX people are already sleeping. I don't know where they are. So I can. It is not my track, so I'm not 100% set on all of the details, but I can try to give an overview of what the scale the UX team is kind of working on and focusing on for Glamsterdam. Stuff that is in the pipeline for the UX team is looking at finality and how to make sure that your assets are kind of final. And one thing how to do that is this fast confirmation rule, which is a really cool way of saying, basically we have this, it's called the safe head. This is a block that is a couple blocks behind the current head that has sufficient votes for it. If it would be reorged, a large portion of the network would get slashed. So this is very safe for most people to use as like finality. And right now, a lot of people are looking for the real finality in order to make sure that everything is good with the transaction that they send. But for most of the use cases, the safe head is actually what they should be looking at, and this is much faster. And so this fast confirmation rule is something that I'm very excited about, because it will mean that for most people, except if you are sending like large amounts of money around, you can have extremely high confidence in that your transaction will not be reverted in a very quick amount of time. Other things that the UX team is looking into is interoperability. We are massively scaling the L1. We are also massively scaling the L2s, but that also means that there will be more L2s. There will be more assets that have to be bridged between L1 and L2. And for anyone that has used bridges in the past and has done a lot of these DeFi transactions between chains, they know that this is kind of a pain, and so we are looking into better solutions for interoperability between L1, L2s, and the L2s between each other. And another research area that is probably not going to materialize in Glamsterdam, but hopefully in the fork after Glamsterdam, is shorter slots. Basically, right now, a block is produced every 12 seconds, and this EIP, shorter slots EIP, would reduce that to every 6 seconds. And that gives us two benefits. Basically, your transaction is going to be included much faster because there are blocks happening more quickly. And the time to finality is also reduced. Right now, we have to wait for 2 epochs to pass, and those 2 epochs take, I think, 12.5 minutes or something. And this time through shorter slots is cut in half. So that's also an amazing improvement that people are working on right now. I think that basically sums up a lot of the work that the interop team is doing right now.
Cool. Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I think we really wanted to try to have this watch event pivot towards Glamsterdam in the conversation. So I appreciate everyone discussing that. And I think it just helps, I know we just had Fusaka happen, but it's like pivoting towards that and hitting the ground running towards Glamsterdam is exciting to do. And I know there's an ACD call tomorrow, right? So there's the work continues. Back to work, yeah. I don't know if there's anything else before I do some of these fun things around POAPs that we have. If there's any other comments about the fork, the status of it, or if you want to wait towards the end, I can go into. Yeah, we're a couple minutes ahead of schedule, but what I can do is share the POAP information if unless anybody wants to say anything about the status of Fusaka finalization. I know there was a comment earlier that we did finalize, so that's great. But yeah, more to come on that, and I'm sure you'll see the social media posts out there about that. Remy, I will share my screen now if it works to do the POAP details, but give me a moment. Okay. Everyone should see this. This is actually on the ethereumupgrades.com website. So you should all be seeing this. If I scroll up to the top, you'll see this page. This is website that Hani Abu has made and has been updating for the last several hard forks to show and follow along everything that's going on with each network upgrade. So it's pretty cool. Thank you, Hani, for that. And you can see here that we've got Fusaka has activated. The countdown is now gone. And here's the link to the live stream that you're listening to right now. But if you go all the way down to the bottom, you can see the information about the POAPs for collecting these. And I'll outline a little bit about what these are. The first one is the official Watch Party POAP. So if you click on these, you can see all the information on the POAP site about these collectible POAPs. And yeah, it looks like there's already a number of people getting that. So awesome. And the method for getting these, by the way, is POAP Airship. So all the details are here. I'll speak about it for a second as well. But I want to also call out that there's a special supporter edition, and this all the nominal fees that go towards this support ETHStaker, the group that I'm from, and others here helping administer this call. But also we do a number of live events, which I know people have attended in the past. So we are creating these POAPs as a way to support the work we're doing here as well. So this one, if you want to get the special collector edition, the supporter edition, that is the 0.03 ETH that you would send to the airship, and that would get you all three POAPs. The third POAP that you can get is comes with either one of these options, but it's the 5 years of the Beacon Chain POAP, and it's an ETHStaker celebrating 5 years since the genesis of the Beacon Chain on December 1st. So it's a happy coincidence that it also is happening the same week as the Fusaka mainnet upgrade. So we wanted to commemorate that in some way, and we did a pretty cool design there to show this. Yes, so you can see here, the idea for collecting these is to commemorate that you were part of this historic event of Fusaka upgrading on the network, and also, of course, to get a commemoration of the Beacon Chain launching in 5 years since that's happened. So if there's any questions about this, all the details are here, but you can do the fee payment on Arbitrum, Base, Optimism, and Ethereum mainnet. These are all minted on Arbitrum, by the way, which they support ETHStaker and minting these on the Arbitrum Layer 2 network. So that's where they will go when you get them. And to get just the two, if you want that, it's 0.002 ETH. So it's just a couple dollars worth of cost on that. So your choice. But we appreciate any support. Okay. I think, yeah, that's about everything here. The address is poap.ethstaker.eth. I think I've really covered everything on that at this point. So enjoy your POAPs. All right. What time are we at? I think a couple minutes remaining. If there's anything else anybody wanted to say before we go, I think it looks like things have finalized and we've experienced the Fusaka upgrade. So it's pretty exciting to see it go, I think, relatively smoothly. I don't want to like celebrate all at once right away. We always like to see how things go for the few hours afterwards. But well done, everyone. And I think it's a testament to how much work goes into everything that each team does, because this isn't just like a simple product rollout. This is a entire community network upgrade that's pretty unusual. So pretty cool to see go through.
Yeah, and after like when we have moved to proof of a stake, we are exactly on time. Good thing that this call is also going on time, a couple of minutes earlier, but not delayed at all. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's time to kind of wrap up unless anyone has any final thought to share. We have got 2 minutes. I
think that's
understand
it
many people are like waiting to go back to work on Glamsterdam upgrade. There's so
Yes.
many things coming up. All right, I would like to take a moment to congratulate everyone here, Ethereum devs, researcher, testing team, EIP editors, authors, and every individual and team who were involved to have this yet another successful upgrade. Thank you, dear community, for joining us on the live stream. And for those who are watching the recording after this, we really appreciate all your support. And once again, we have added a bunch of useful links to resources in the description for YouTube, as well as I believe it will be also on the X stream. So please check it out. And as I always say, remember, Ethereum is not a finished product. It's a living process, and everyone has a role to play in. See you all in the next protocol call or Discord. Happy Fusaka, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Pooja. Thanks, Jonathan. Great hosts.
Justin on the groove, network vision clear. Dang crab with his shots, dang shot and drawing near. Barry flips the switch, privacy flow stays smooth. Mary tunes the proofs, sound is in the groove. Gate by gate, my R1 CS type QAP shuffle FFT tonight. MIMC not presiding on the beat. Fiat shimmy hush, make it in our suite. G1 to the left, G2 to the right. BLS 12-3, 881 under mirror ball like KCG. Clap lobs, hit the floor. EIP 484, give me bandwidth more. Jordy builds the circuits, circums not chasing. Dolly writes the roadmap, ZK crowns the ring. Snuck it by me, baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. FRI falsetto, stops in the night. Pairings caring, make the curve points by one more. Snuck it by me, baby. Don't leak, don't speak. Plump in the pocket, growth 16 chic. Pairing shrink proofs, the chain is tight. No bandwidth requirements are light. Aerials, plum pulse, permutations align. Zachary brings privacy, Aztec on the line. Dan shapes the parents map that we can use. Alessandro spark snack succinct in the groove. Eli drive stocks, no pairing, still prime. Roll the FR rhythm, low degree and time. ZK EVM, ZK roll ups, roll